Coming up in this week's episode.
It's like the opening scene of Casualty, isn't it? Do you remember them? It was always a guy trying to start up a combine harvester and his mate changing a tyre at the back. And it's like, well, there we go.
You just know what's going to happen.
We had a few spates of car thefts around, and the police did come to my door asking if I knew anything, and I said no comment. It's my car. Do you know anything about it? No comment. Am I being detained?
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, backcomb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson.
Hello.
I missed the button. It's been with big fat sausage fingers.
Very quickly there. That was the problem. That's the problem with Sting. Having Sting here, you see, he finished you off far too quickly.
Do you know what? I was getting excited because I just realised that today, if you're watching this as it goes out, is Tuesday the 3rd of December, which means we're 2 days away from our live show with our special guest.
Yeah, Sting.
But 2 days till we go before a live studio audience at the Spring Arts in Havant.
And if you're watching this as it goes out, there might be 1 or 2 tickets left. But when we're recording this back in mid-November, there was about 20 left. So it depends which time zone you're in. If you're abroad, you won't make it. Okay, leave it.
Don't book any flights on spec.
No, don't bother. Don't, even
just in case.
Yeah, don't. And or boats. Don't do any of that. You know, we might have to call the Coast Guard, but we will be 5th of December recording 2 live episodes, which will go out in December. So you don't have to panic. You might not see it live, but you'll see it recorded on YouTube.
You said something about calling the emergency services the Coast Guard as well, because this is our little theme that we're doing about the emergency services and that kind of thing as well. And of course, we totally forgot about the Coast Guard. And here we are living on the flipping South Coast.
Yeah.
And, when you dial 999, police, fire, ambulance... Coast Guard.
Coast Guard was one that you could ask for. Probably not if you were in landlocked Luton.
No.
I don't think they'd get to you in time. But yeah, we would often see the massive yellow, what did they call them? The helicopters. I forget what they were called, but they were...
Helicopters, James.
Helicopters. Big helicopters. No, but they were big bulbous things that would go and winch someone down in the sea. I can't remember the name of them.
Are they the ones with the 2 propellers?
No, that's a Chinook. Wouldn't bring them out. Would move part of the sea outside Portsmouth. But yeah, so but always lovely to see someone winching down and saving somebody, and I've seen that many times being a Pompey boy. Coast Guard was. I mean, I never would have thought to ask the Coast Guard.
No,
probably because I lived in a 3rd floor block of flats, and it was never really sprung to mind.
Wait till the floods get truly biblical for that.
Just see if it comes up another 20 feet, then I might give them a tinkle.
Can we just do a little shout out while we're bigging up the emergency services for the air ambulance?
Yeah,
for the air ambulance as well, which I've got a soft spot for ever since my son, when he was back in his tree climbing days, fell out of a tree and they basically flew the helicopter and he was so close to getting a ride to the hospital in the helicopter. So they landed the helicopter and then decided that an ambulance would be fine. Better. But I just kind of thought to myself, the helicopter's here already. Yeah. Surely he should have a go in there.
Well, he's going back anyway.
He's going back anyway, yeah. So they could have just dropped him off, really, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a helicopter share, not car share, isn't it? Someone grab him, and if there's anyone else you need to go to, grab them.
Just pick him up on the way,
And maybe he was just hoping to chop the tree down just to save it happening again, just fly a bit close. That's always, but they're still charity-funded things, aren't they?
Well, they are. They are.
There's no NHS helicopters.
No, they're completely funded by people being generous and giving.
Yeah, I did a fundraising, hosted a big air ambulance gig actually, for nothing, because
that kind of guy. Anything for charity.
Help people out, and I'm just thinking of other people that have done stuff for charity raising money. It's not turned out well for them. I ran a marathon, hosted a TV show. And then for the next sort of 6 months, there would seem to be air ambulance people collecting money outside every supermarket ever. And I always thought I had a free pass, because I was just like, I've hosted a fundraiser, mate. I've done enough for them. Thank you. Don't need to donate. Is there anything in here about air ambulance? Probably not.
No.
It's stuff about
the Ladybird book of first aid. It's not likely to be.
No.
It's not.
Well, there might be. What's wrong? Here are the signs. Is there a helicopter nearby? No, it doesn't say that. But it's got about fainting, unconsciousness. Have you had too much to drink in a pub episode of Bring Back the 80s? Circulation.
5 and Drive, James.
Yeah.
5 and Drive.
Bad bleeding. There's an episode called Bad Bleeding.
Ooh, there's never good bleeding, though, if we're honest, isn't there?
Good bleeding. Oh, no, you're fine. Bad bleeding. Bad bleeding. Blood can spurt or pour very quickly from a bad wound. Someone who loses a great deal of blood will suffer from shock. So stop bad bleeding. You're right, though. No good bleeding.
But at least, now we know that if anybody's bleeding and blood is spurting, we dial 999. Once upon a time, James, back in the 1980s, we didn't know how to call the emergency services until we were instructed by one of these public service TV advertisements.
The emergency services handle hundreds of calls every day. But you might never have had to call for help before. So would you know what to do? First of all, keep calm. Help is only a phone call away, and you don't need any money. Just lift the receiver and dial 999.
Emergency, which service?
Fire brigade, please.
Fire brigade, what is your number, please?
Give the operator your number. It's here on the dial. She will connect you and stay on the line, ready to help. So, if you want to call fire, police, ambulance, or Coast Guard, keep calm and dial 999.
He just wasted time.
999.
He just dialed it. And that's time wasting. It happened a lot when we were kids. People dialing 999.
Oh my God, because there was literally nothing else to do, was there? That was Shaw Taylor, by the way, who anything to do with police or whatever. He was the go-to.
Was he an ex-copper?
Man, I don't know. He had the look.
A vibe of one.
He had the look. Yeah. But yes, and I love the way that, just in case you didn't hear it properly, 999.
Yeah, you don't want to mishear that.
No, you would have definitely.
I've dialed 998. I dialed 998 and he died. I remember I was about 12. 13, and I asked my mum for a phone in my bedroom, to have a phone line in my bedroom, probably for the 0898 numbers, not 999, and it was only a cheap one. My uncle ran the line. I had a cheap old plastic phone, and for some reason I was laying in bed, just dialed and was pressing all the buttons loads, like 1111111 22222, and there was somebody answered on one of them. I don't know how or why, and I actually did it. I wasn't even thinking, just like 99999 and hello emergency services. I was like, shit. And for the next day, I was just shitting
worried
myself.
That they were going to come round.
So I was going to come round. Time wasting. You go to prison. But yeah, it's
people cannot understand how little we had to do to occupy our time. That an amusing thing to do would be to go to a phone box.
Yeah.
Because with me, it was a phone box rather than do it from at home.
Yeah.
But you would dial 999.
Yeah. Or Busby. Ask for Busby. You phone the operator. That would piss them off
100 for the operator.
Hello, is Busby there? No! Get off the line!
But that was back in the days before, when somebody would actually answer the phone call. There'd be no, you're in a queue and your call's important to us.
I mean, it would
none
be
of
a
that
second.
Nonsense.
It would be a second or two, and it would pick up, and a woman would answer. Always a woman, and
she got so angry as well when you dialed 999.
Well,
if you were
just
messing around,
wasn't it? She was for the whole country.
So angry.
Yeah. Well, but I remember it, but I didn't wait when I accidentally dialed that. but it was just so. It's so. I mean. That was 80s. It feels like it's like 1930s. Having to tell people what to dial. When it's an emergency. In here we've got what to do if your clothes are on fire. It is natural for someone to run away from fire. But if his clothes are burning, running will only make the flames worse.
We all know what to do. We know what to do, though. We've seen it, haven't we? You just roll around. It
says, stop your patient from running. Pull him down to the ground as quickly as you can with the burning area on top. If water's available, pour it on.
Good idea, yeah.
I mean, shit me. If water's not available, Don't pour it on. No.
Sand.
Wrap him in a rug. Beat on the blanket with your hands. Don't roll your patient over and over under the blanket. This might spread the flames around the body. Don't use nylon cloth to smother the
my
flames.
God.
This shrivels and melts. And then it's got a little explanation about the skeleton. I presume that's not someone who's dead. But so first aid book, always handy. Always have it to hand if someone's on fire.
Yes. In those days, though, clothes used to be very flammable, didn't they? You were always hearing about somebody at Christmas or somebody at fireworks night. Somebody's clothes would always catch fire.
Or hair.
Yes.
Hairspray
could be the big 80s, big buff on hairspray. It happened to Michael Jackson, didn't it?
It did. Pepsi
to be fair,
commercial.
yeah.
You could, if your mum bent down in the kitchen to do anything, she'd stand back up with her head on fire.
Yeah.
Often it would be just a bit. They go, oh, hair's on fire. It was just laughter. I've seen it happen at least once. It was in the 90s, but it was a regular thing because you ladies would have these big permed sort of sprayed hair. But yeah, the clothes, your sofa, everything was flammable. And it would have labels on going, warning, flammable. And that was made of cardboard, obviously. But yeah, we had a brown corduroy sofa, and underneath each cushion it would have a tag that said flammable. They did flame retardant.
Yes, but does that mean that it's completely inflammable? That's another thing.
It means the flames have got special needs.
That's another thing that I've never understood. Flammable and inflammable both mean the same thing.
Do they?
Don't they?
I don't know.
If something's inflammable, you would think, that means it's not flammable, but no. If it's inflammable,
it's flammable.
It's flammable.
Is it?
Yes, seriously.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
I'm not sure.
100% sure. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
It might be in this first aid book. So if you're immortal, is that the same as being mortal?
Mortal. No. No, James. That's where it all goes wrong. They should just standardise the inflammable and it's all very confusing.
So is there an unflammable? Or is it? How are you not flammable?
Not flammable.
Oh, that's
just
not flammable. Okay. Don't complicate things, for Christ's sake. Okay.
Very complicated.
Yeah, it's important.
But the thing is, as well, with the flammable labels and the inflammable labels, first thing you do is cut them off anyway.
Of course.
Because they just get in the way and look
We didn't
terrible.
need to know it was flammable,
because you knew.
Flammable, because everything was.
Yeah.
Your Christmas tree was bloody flammable. Everything was flammable. And you can't spray that unflammable fire retardant stuff because that was probably flammable, to be honest. Out of the aerosol. Like you used to do with deodorants. Did you ever used to do that?
Oh, of course you did, yeah. Flamethrower.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Everybody did that. Great fun. But not now, of course, because I would imagine deodorants aren't flammable.
Inflammable. Unflammable. They're not flammable. But yeah, that was the thing you do. You know, when you, again, because we had nothing to do, when you're not phoning 999, you were going to get your dinner deodorant and spraying it and making a flamethrower.
Yeah. Maybe when you're waiting for your Commodore 64 to load a game up for 4 hours, you might just start torching stuff.
And it would just get to just that very last second, and then you got to rewind the cassette and do it again because it's just not gonna do it again.
Yeah, that's why your whole bedroom stank of Old Spice or whatever it was that you were spraying around. Yeah,
but flame, there was a lot more fires going on. Always, I think we mentioned this the other day. There was always chip pan fire going on, and we all knew instinctively not to put water in it now, or at least we do now.
Yes, or not to have a chip pan. That's always a good idea.
Always a good idea.
Exhibit A.
Do you never hear of air fryers catching fire?
You bloody do.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I've seen nothing but the bloody things. And my son bought one and he used it for about 3 months, and now it's just like a monument in the corner for what cooking he used to do. But yeah, I mean, you do. People don't get an air fryer, it catches fire. Don't get an electric car, it catches fire. You don't see any public service announcents about this, do you?
Not yet,
Chip
James.
pans catch fire. Don't have careful, and then careful, electric cars and air fryers catch fire. Yeah, and call a fire brigade. Dial 999. No, you could call 111. They probably tell you we'll get someone out to you. They might answer quicker. 111. This might be a good idea. We've got a little hack here, life hack. Don't phone 999 when it's all kicking off because you might have to wait. 111. So what seems to be the problem? Where are you hurting? I say, I'm not hurting yet, but this fire is moving across my house pretty quickly. And they'll go, right, we'll get an ambulance out to you. Don't worry. Yeah.
Can I just say, I don't know if it's been the same for me. Have you ever tried to phone the non-emergency number? So the 111.
Oh, I have, yeah.
The police one.
Oh,
there's another one. Is it 101, 101, which is like for not. And I remember there was some roadworks, and the traffic lights at either end were all on green, so carnage was waiting to ensue.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's not a 999,
Yeah.
So I'll phone the 101.
Yeah.
I swear I gave up after being in a queue for 25 minutes.
Wow.
Just
on a green light.
Gave up. I just thought, I'm just trying to do my bit here. If you're gonna have these things, have somebody answer the phone.
Well, to be honest, you probably had 40 people queuing at either end, phoning it up, mate. You were at an end of the queue of all sorts. I remember back in my house, there was loads of lads on mopeds flying around on fields and unopened roads and stuff, going crazy. And as I'm driving over to pick up my son from school, I saw a police car parked up. So I pulled up next to him in this road where you shouldn't do that, lowered my window, and he lowered his window and emptied his mouth of a sandwich. And I said, "It's kids over the back of my house on scooters." He went, "Yeah, we know, mate." I'm like, okay. I said, "It's just, they nearly knocked an old deer over who's walking her dog." He said, "Yeah, they want us to chase them." So I fucking want you to chase them, killing people. He said, "Yeah, but then they want us to. They think we're going to knock them off, and then they're going to sue us or do something, and it'll all be. It's just not worth it, mate." I was like, "Okay, no,
off you go." Yeah.
And that's sort of the litigious angle that a lot of crimes going towards. Is like, well, I'll sue you if you do this, that, or the other to me. Which is why you can't wrestle a guy when he's shoplifting anymore, or a girl.
You're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to do that. So you could having the security. It is as useful as that cardboard policeman in B&M and whatever. It's as useful as that because they're not allowed to touch you.
I know. I used to work in Next as a student, and I used to have to stand at the door. Sometimes I'd help out with the shoes because I'm that kind of guy. But busy Christmas, I would have to stand at the door. And obviously, I'm not tiny. I mean, I was slimmer then, but tall enough, and just stood there. And I was able to sort of not manhandle people, but I could certainly get in the way and do what I could do. And at the time, it was like, I feel like I'm doing some good here. And we used to catch quite a few people, and then they called the police and blah blah blah. It would all get sorted. But these days, I wouldn't get in the way of anybody. They got some sort of machete on them or something.
Definitely.
Go for you. Go mad. Yeah. There's normally a team of 23 of them coming in to shoplift. I was in an O2 once, about 2 years ago, and they came in and emptied the shop. About 5 lads emptied the shop of phones. Yeah, and none of the phones would work, obviously, because they're just dummies. Not the phone. No, the phones, not the kids.
And the kids.
They're on e-scooters and they're gone in no time. Then I bought one of those, unfortunately, off of Facebook Marketplace once, and it was a dummy phone. I'm an idiot. But I don't know. It's one thing that you've got to know is that back in the day, if you wanted to know more about police or fire brigade or the ambulance, you could get Cub Scout badges for them, Andy, and I've got them here.
Oh my God.
Right. This is linked with the Met Police, I believe. I don't think you could get them generally. I haven't found anything about them online, but these were little sort of Cub Scout troop badges for knowing more about the fire ambulance, and I don't think you had to call them. What experience you had to go through to actually earn these badges, but they're so sweet, aren't they?
You had to remember all 3 numbers.
I had to remember what you had to call.
What numbers you had to dial.
9.
You had to do 9.
And then another
9. These are really good. I don't remember because I was for a very short time. I was a Cub Scout, and I remember that there was one for. It wasn't for me, James. It was there were people telling me what to do. There were too many rules and that. But badges for everything. But I don't remember a badge for being a policeman.
We were in the Cubs
in London, down London.
It was in
down
London
South
town,
London,
the Big Smoke.
In the Big Smoke, yeah.
So I mean, I said to the guy, and he said that you would earn them for different things, obviously. Very the Met. In the Met region, lovely, aren't they? They are.
They're very good. I would imagine, perhaps for being observant. I'm guessing here, but if you see something suspicious, which reminds me of my trip, down to London the other day, still makes me laugh on the train. So they say, if you see something suspicious, tell us. How do you know? Well, how do you know what's suspicious?
Well, I saw a guard on a train who's been really helpful once, and I had to report that.
Really?
I said, this isn't right. This is not right. He's been really friendly here.
Some of them are good guys.
Of course they are.
Some of them
Lovely.
are good guys.
Not all train guards. So yeah, I was a cub, and I think that was another thing about helping people. You used to do Bob a job and help a granny across the road and all that stuff. Very nice, helping the community. And there are still lovely. You go to some communities with the cubs and all that stuff, and the brownies, and they're all encouraged to do all this helpful stuff. And I guess that was the start of the PCSOs, wasn't it? Because they're so young now. Maybe that's what they are.
Maybe they are. Maybe they
cubs,
are. Yes,
earning their badges. Maybe that's what's happening.
That's exactly what they are. They're good. They're Bob a job.
Anybody watching this, that's the dare for this week. When you see a young policeman go, "Are you trying to earn your police badge for from cubs and brownies?" Oh, crikey. Yeah, bless them. I'm sure that'll go down well.
I'm sure it would do, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But as we all know, James, if ever you are questioned by a policeman, because we've all seen it on the Facebook now, the only words you have to say when you're being spoken to by a police person, am I being detained?
Oh, I thought it was no comment. That's what I always say.
Oh, now we need the lessons. I say, I hate myself for loving them, but you find these absolute wankers who just want to make a nuisance of themselves, and it's, am I being detained?
Yeah.
Am I being detained?
Are you arresting me or what, mate?
Am I being detained?
Yeah. We had a few spates of car thefts around, and the police did come to my door asking if I knew anything, and I said no comment.
You'd phoned them.
My car. It's my car. Do you know anything about it? No comment. Am I being detained? Because it's my car that's missing, mate. You here to earn your badge? It never goes down well.
Dear.
But yeah, it's so I love these interceptors and these 24 hours in custody and all this stuff on TV, because you get to really see how tough it is to be in the emergency services, and it bloody well is. And it's not the fault of any of them if the budgets are cut and stuff. It is just harder and harder, and people are getting more and more vicious. But you watch some of these interviews that they're giving with criminals and with people who are in situations, and that really makes the show boring when it's no comment. It's just like, come on, I'm trying to be entertained here by your awful situation. Why are you saying no comment? I want to hear about this gritty stuff that I'm excluded from. Not that I want to be involved in anything. No comment.
Yeah, but no comment. Okay, no comment. On that very subject, let's do a little reminder of the Mystery Sound. It is a well-known TV show which started in the 80s. I don't know whether it's still going now. Is it still going now?
No.
But this is it. If you know what it is, let us know in the comments.
It's the mystery sound of the 80s. It's the mystery sound of the 80s.
All I can see is those shoes walking.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's all I can see.
And it also reminds me of London's Burning. Do you remember that? London's Burning, the TV show.
Yes.
Oh, that was great. That was also...
But it's not London's Burning.
No, and Casualty. So they covered all your ambulance, your fire, your police. And London's Burning was great to see what was going on behind the scenes, because you'd often wonder, because with the best will in the world, and they are wonderful, wonderful guys and girls, they don't always do much, the fire brigade, do they? They're there to protect us from when it kicks off. But if you ask a fireman, there's not that many call-outs, really, but it's what they do is really important. You can say it very quiet.
James, over to you.
But they'll be the first to say, we've had one call-out today, and it was a cat in a tree or something, like on Postman Pat. But it's because they're ripped. Because they're always in their gym.
They've got their gyms, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got their gyms.
Yeah, but bloody hell, you would often go past a fire station and all the trucks are in there, whatever they call them, the units, the wagons, whatever they are. I don't know, it's not my thing. But when you watch London's Burning, you're like, oh, that's what they're doing. Yeah. You see, behind the scenes, it's weights and telly. But they're ready, you see.
Ready to go immediately at a moment's notice.
It's the same as us having loads of nuclear weapons, you see. Doesn't do much at all, but when it's needed, it's important.
We're there and ready
That's our fire brigade.
to go,
It's
yes.
the community nuclear deterrent. I don't know. No, wouldn't it be lovely if having a fire brigade stopped fires? That's not the way it works, is it? You have the fire brigade ready when there's a fire, but I bet you they were busier during the chip pan era.
They do come round and do like test. Didn't they go round and like knock on doors for a while and see if you've got a smoke alarm and
whether you've hoovered it recently, whether you've changed the square battery in it and pressed the button.
They should have done that as a badge for the Cubs, shouldn't they? So you get a badge for hoovering your blooming fire.
That's the
thing.
fire badge. But yes, I don't think it's for hoovering. I always used to, for some reason, the clip on smoke alarms always used to fail. So it used to go clip, but sometimes it would just be
hang
hanging,
down,
hanging flap. Nothing worse, is there? Really uncomfortable.
Nobody likes a hanging flap, James.
But yeah, smoked alarms were very much an 80s thing, weren't they? Really came into their own, and every house had to bloody have one.
Yeah.
And we'd all fail and put them in the kitchen to start with and learn our lesson,
And
wouldn't we?
as soon as you put the toast on, that was it. And the other thing as well, that there was a campaign where a lot of people had polystyrene. Do you remember the thing for on the ceilings?
Yes.
You'd have polystyrene
Those squares.
squares.
Yeah, like this.
Which are a bit like
Really?
this.
Got in our ceiling here.
But, you know, why did we have bits of polystyrene?
Well, we were covering
glued
up the Artex in, weren't
to
we?
the ceiling.
All the
But,
swirly bubbles.
So I seem to remember there was a campaign. If you got those, take those down.
Yeah.
And then when you're taking them down, then you put up your smoke detector. But always remember to hoover it regularly.
And check your battery.
Check your battery.
Press your button, even though the ceiling's 8 foot up. Just get up there. Get on a ladder. Call an ambulance.
See, it's
your first aid book.
almost, I was going to say, it's self-fulfilling. So you've got to get on the ladder to check the battery.
Yeah.
And then when you fall off the ladder, remember to call 999 for the ambulance.
It's like the opening scene of Casualty, isn't it? Do you remember them? When they had the Holby City Casualty started in the 80s, and it was always something crazy at the beginning. It was always a guy trying to start up a combine harvester and his mate changing a tyre at the back. And it's like, well, there we go.
You just know what's going to happen. They can't get the old tree shredder going properly. You
Have a look at the end, mate.
Put your something stuck in there.
Yeah.
It's like-
Is there still a bullet in the end of this gun? Have a look down there, will you? It's like, Barry, come here. Barry's going to be in the opening scene of Casualty, definitely.
Sometimes it's not always as dramatic as that, though, because accidents can happen in the most innocuous of places.
Oh.
Check this out.
Well, Kerry, not saying hello to me then?
She's not quite herself today.
Huh?
Show Mrs. Green what you did, love.
Oh, how did she do that?
Well, it was yesterday evening. We had just a few fireworks for the kids. I thought we were ever so careful, but there's always something you forget to tell them.
How did it happen then?
It's a sparkler. You wouldn't believe it, would you? I mean, really. It wasn't as though the children were on their own. I was there. I did the lighting. And I took good care they were holding the sparklers properly at arm's length. Not dancing around, waving them and poking each other's eyes out.
So what did happen then?
Well, I ask you. When the sparkler's finished, back she goes and tries to pick it up. It may look cool, but it's still red hot, isn't it? What a silly girl, then.
Make sure your child doesn't start November the 6th like this.
A spark.
Or worse.
That woman,
Social services.
terrible.
How's she taking the piss out of her kid?
Yeah,
I was
I-
watching her, I ask you. I'll tell you, Governor. I only nipped up the apples and pears and turned around. She poked me in the pie and mash, or whatever it was. I don't know where she's from, but she's really trying hard.
But the old women always look like Les Dawson as well, didn't they? Every single time.
Little boob nudge there. I love the way she bails herself out of that.
Yeah.
She's looking at a
Nothing-
6-year-old girl.
Nothing
going,
to do with me.
I was
her own stupid fault.
I made sure she was careful. I don't think you did you? Because she's had to go to hospital. Christ. Can you imagine that? I mean, the fireworks were horrific. Fireworks were lethal. I mean, they still are, but they were really, you had to really hope that they go the rough direction that you poke them.
Yeah,
Because they would very rarely go up.
You would set off rockets in a milk bottle.
Yeah.
The most unstable thing that you could launch anything from.
And they never would say, you know, put them in a sandbox or put them at the end of your gut. People were setting them off left, right, and centre. I mean, they still do, the idiots, but generally you just go, poke it in the ground, you'll be all right. Near trees, big, massive bonfires in everybody's garden.
Yeah, everybody's garden.
Because it was called bonfire night, wasn't it? Not fireworks night.
It was bonfire
bloody
night,
great
you're right,
bonfire. And your mate or your brother or your guy was put on top, who was invariably made of flammable material, and plonked on top, and you'd stand right by the fire with sparklers.
Yes, but you always had to check. They were always very, safety first for the hedgehogs.
Yeah,
because they always used to tell you before you light this great big massive fire, check for hedgehogs.
And we
first.
didn't, and now there's no hedgehogs.
It's true, James. If only would have been more careful.
I know, we torched them all.
Yes,
and they would pop. Like the frogs. Oh, it was awful. It was horrible. Like, you didn't check for hedgehogs, did you? There's one running across there on fire.
Oh, James, you'll have the hedgehog protection.
Oh, no. I think we've upset a lot of people during these last 2 episodes. There's a lot of criminals going to be after us as well.
Do you remember when they made hedgehog flavour crisps?
Yes.
And there was an outcry, wasn't there?
Yeah, and that's how they got the taste from. Bonfire night.
They had all these
roasted hedgehog.
All these. Let's have a look and see what's in the surprising box today, James.
Yeah, shall we?
James's special lunchbox surprise.
Now, this is probably called, what's in here is a treat that's caused a lot of problems over the years.
I am hoping it's a hedgehog.
It's a roasted hedgehog. We've just had bonfire night. Careful, wear your gloves. Hold it at arm's length at all times. It's on fire currently. And it's something that I would always consider to be a treat when I was a kid to have. Yes. Some Hubba Bubba bubble gum, or as my northern wife calls it, Hubba Bubba.
Hubba Bubba.
Get some Hubba Bubba down you. Now, you mustn't swallow it, because obviously we all know if you swallow bubble gum, you die.
It will gum up your insides, won't it? Yeah,
you die. And it's been proven actually recently, it just digests like everything else.
It's the same as if you swallow the pips of an apple tree will grow inside you.
Yeah, the apple of
well-known fact.
Yeah. So these... I didn't really have bubble gum as a young kid, but when I was able and had the freedom and money to buy myself at school and tuck shops and stuff, I would buy myself some bubble gum and practice blowing bubbles. It was always wonderful when you try and practice blowing bubbles and you'd spurt it across the room.
I remember these coming in one, so you wouldn't get them. They wouldn't be in a pack. They would be individual. I know what you mean.
But they also would have the branding on them.
Yes, they used to have little comics, little vague, very cartoony kind of things.
Yeah, and the logo. These are bigger, I think.
They are thicker. They are thicker. They're not the same shape.
I'm keeping the wrapper because I'm not going to have it for long.
They don't smell quite the same either, if I'm honest.
Strong. They're not as strong smelling.
It's not the same.
Chunky, it says, and bubbly. They're bigger. They are bigger.
I'm going to swallow this.
Quiet, aren't we? It's not a great podcast, is it? But you can swallow this and you can choke.
When you fart, you blow bubbles out your bum, don't you? If you swallow bubble gum.
So I have to chew this for a while to get a bubble out of it.
It's almost too soft. I remember this is it is softer than it used to be.
It used to be pink, Hubba Bubba, and random different things around it.
There used to be like a little tiny cartoon thing on it.
I mean, yeah, it does taste the same, but it's too big now. You can't get to the bubble. You can't get to blow a bubble.
What are we actually going to do with this bubble blowing? Come on, James. Apologies if you're trying to eat your dinner at home.
Yeah, I can't get a bowl.
It's too big.
You giving up?
I'm giving up with that, James.
I'm going to persevere and try and get a bubble.
See if you can do that.
Yeah.
But it used to be a thing that you would you would chew and chew and chew and chew. And you would keep it for hours and hours and hours and hours. And because the myth was as well that you would stick it to your bedpost at night, and then in the morning the flavour would have miraculously come back.
Really?
Yeah. That was what we were always told anyway. Then. but maybe not. Oh yeah, well yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I can't get a big one because of my stubble. I didn't have that
popped
problem
it.
in
Yeah,
it.
it's popped it as it went along. But yeah, because chewing gum was a thing. There was always the Wrigley's Juicy Fruit.
Yeah.
Was the chewing gum, but you couldn't blow bubbles.
No.
That, so I'm not quite sure what the difference is between chewing gum and bubble gum. But the clue is in the name, obviously, with bubble gum, is that is what you do with it to blow the bubbles.
I can't.
I know so you're right at the edge now. They're just you're popping it with your beard as you go every single time. There we go.
My wife has the same trouble with bubble gum. Yeah, tastes the same, but they have made them too big because by the time you've chewed it all down, it's filling your mouth.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
See, it's like having some sort of gum shield.
It's the wrong shape.
Around.
It's the wrong shape as well. They used to be more sort of like flatter.
Yeah,
they used to be flatter
and harder,
much harder, much harder.
But then you see, you would choke, and then you need to run for the first aid book, Ladybird first aid book. Try and get, what's happening? Is he choking? Is he on fire?
111.
Yes, and they'll say
111.
Get an ambulance. Is he breathing? Yeah, it's. I just remember having things. There used to have chewing gum and bubble gum stuck everywhere.
Oh God, yes, absolutely everywhere.
In the school lesson,
desk at school, yeah, every single time.
And you find that you have warm hands in class, just under the arms of the chairs or under the chair, and you'd be resting it there, and you think, "What's that?" Oh, it'd just be stuck to you, or stuck to your school trousers.
And woe betide if it got back in the days when we had hair. If somebody stuck it on the back of the chair or something, and chewing gum in your hair, there's no way that there is anything other than a pair of scissors that's gonna get rid
people
of that.
would stick it in people's hair. Yeah, chewing gum, I don't think is such a thing now. I think chewing gum and bubblegum particularly, was quite a big thing to try and blow bubbles and try and be the cool one with bubbles. And
you don't see kids blowing bubbles now, very rarely.
They get bubble gum flavoured vapes. That's what they're making.
Yes, yes.
So they can't blow bubbles with that. They can just blow chemicals. And good luck to them, that's what I say. Bubblegum flavoured. You didn't have bubblegum flavoured stuff, did you? You just had bubblegum.
Yes,
these days it's bubblegum flavoured vapes, bubblegum flavoured shakes, and God knows.
Well, because the vapes have replaced the Alco Pops, because the Alco Pops, I think the powers have been, suddenly thought, actually, what they're actually doing is they're giving these kids alcohol that tastes like pop.
Yeah.
So now they're giving them cigarettes that taste like sweets,
which is much better.
Oh, it's going to be better for you. Far better for you.
Do you like my Max Headroom t-shirt, by the way? Because we're doing all about safety. I thought Max Headroom, that's the sign, obviously that's where he got his name, from the low level for driving and stuff. And I thought, yeah, Max Headroom, good, bless him. He's still alive, the actor.
Is he still alive?
He did it, yeah. But that was cool. He was cool, wasn't he?
He had the hair and everything, didn't he?
He had everything going on.
Everybody had hair back in those days, even me, to be quite honest.
Hard to believe.
So we've had the bubble gum.
Yes.
We're talking about flavours from our youth as well.
Still got it.
So imagine, if you will, that you're feeling a bit poorly.
Yeah.
There was one go-to drink, wasn't there? This was the drink that would cure everything. Although I always thought it smelled like piss.
When they've been ill and off their food, give them the glucose energy of Lucozade. Lucozade aids recovery.
It didn't help people recover from that at all.
And it's only just realised as well, Lucozade, how cheap was their research purpose to come up with a brand name, because all they've done is they've taken the G off of glucose and made it Lucose.
Glucose
because it's just made of glucose. It's just Lucozade.
Yeah, and that slogan changed because obviously in the 80s AIDS became a massive thing.
Not a good thing, it was a bad thing.
That trade description, isn't it? Because it doesn't help you recover from AIDS at all.
No.
So AIDS your recovery quickly came into being after a few years. But yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, if your piss smells like Lucozade, please can you phone 111 or maybe even 999 because that's not right. But maybe diabetes.
Didn't it used to come? It used to be wrapped in a
film.
A film for some reason.
Clear film.
Yeah.
I think it was the stickiest bastard drink you could ever drink.
Just sugar.
So sticky. And no wonder it made you feel better.
Yeah.
It just had 12 glasses of sugar, mate. It's like, hey, I feel so much better. But it was just a way for your mum and dad to get you into school because you felt like shit in the morning. You had 12 cups of sugar and for about an hour, you felt fine.
Yeah.
Just enough for them to shunt you into school and they can get back home or go to work. You felt like shit by lunchtime again.
Do you remember as well the voice you'd have to put on when you were feeling poorly? I'm not feeling very well.
And they go, and they say, just lie on the sofa then. I'll put the telly on and I'll go and get you some Lucozade. Thanks, Mum. Yeah, and often feel great at lunchtime. When your mum and dad are off to work, you go out and play with your other mate that had also bunked off.
Yeah, it was almost like it was prearranged. But how did we know to prearrange these things where there was no, you couldn't text each other to say, should we bunk off?
Just put a little note in a paper plane and throw it across the road.
Have to be done.
You talk to your mates beforehand when you go, should we have Wednesday? Should we bunk off Wednesday? Say you're poorly Wednesday, and stuff like that. But or maybe post yourself a letter when a first class stamp didn't cost £1.65.
I know. Tell me about it.
With Christmas coming up. Sorry for the F word, but with Christmas coming up, I honestly wanted to send all the comedians that work for me a Christmas card.
No way.
A Christmas card, you can get about 10 for about £4, right? In Card Factory and stuff like that. Great. But you can't afford to post the bastards.
I can't understand how it has become. It is literally £1.65 to post just
when they're
letter.
20 pence.
Yeah.
One first class stands 20 pence.
Or 8p for a second class or something ridiculous.
I don't understand how that's gone.
How's it gone ridiculous?
It will be cheaper for me to write all the cards and drive to everybody's house.
It actually literally would be.
And I think, because there's about 50 or 60 people I wanted to write to, right? That would have been about £80. For £80, honestly, I think I could drive around everyone in the country.
I reckon you could, yeah.
Not obviously past Yorkshire, but then I don't care about them. But if you're listening, of course I do. But no, I could get up to the Midlands and back and drive around 40 houses, I reckon. Why can't the Royal Mail do that with another 100 Christmas cards in their van? I don't get it. It's just not. I know it's all about making a profit, but you can't. £1.65 is not. We sound like a right couple of crappy outbackers. It's just astronomical increase. We talk about how much chocolate bars have gone up from 20p to £1. But at least I'm getting something for that £1. This, I'm sending something for £1 and I'm not getting anything.
I think it's all about how it's dressed up, because although much as we hate paying £1.65 to post a letter away, I'm more than happy, because it's my daughter's birthday, and I'm more than happy to get onto the Thoughtful app and send her a card with that
all done.
for fucking £5.50.
But it's all done, isn't it?
It's all done
in the
you
app.
just do it in the app.
That's right.
And I don't mind. I don't understand my thought process here. I'm happy to spend £5.50 by the time, because it's £4 something, and then they say, you got to pay for delivery on top of that. And then by the time you've chosen the font, and you've come up with the witty message, and you've chosen the emoji to put in, and then if you really want to be flash, you can upload your own writing as well. You can do all that kind of stuff. You think, I've been through all that. I'll pay the extra, whatever it is, £5.50. Quite happy to do that
from your sofa,
from my sofa, not have to move. But I'm not going to go down the bloody post box for £1.65.
Queue with them. Might get COVID. Stand in a queue 2 meters apart. Yeah, but can you put a pound sellotape to the inside of the gift card, a postcard, a Christmas card that you send your daughter?
They do upsell you, and you can have like a little box of chocolates.
For flowers for 40
another £12. No, you're getting the smallest A5 one that they do.
I reckon the sort of people that want to send cards to people would definitely go for it if there was an option to sellotape a £1 coin to the inside.
I think you could missed a trick here.
We're going to start it. We heard it here. You could not only send a Christmas card or a birthday card, but you sellotape a £1 coin, or a row of 20 pences.
Yeah.
My nan used to do that. A row of 5 20 pences. Like that. Whoa, I'm into the money now. Cha-ching. But not a £1 coin. Then when the £1 coins came out, of course, then when I worked out you couldn't eat them, and they weren't gold coins, chocolate coins, then yes, they were nice too.
There was always a thing as well, was they never put a notes in there. You never put like a £1 note or a £5 note in there, because somebody will steal that.
Oh yeah.
But if you're sellotaping a £1 coin in,
safe as houses.
Absolutely safe as houses for some reason.
Yeah, and my mother-in-law still says that when she owes us some money for something that we've bought for her or something online. She always says, "I'll post you the cash in an envelope tomorrow." I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't send us £100 in £5 notes in the envelope. It will never make it because the posties have got to make up for their shortfalls in their income these days.
Oh, James, I'm glad you said that.
I thought we'd have the full spectrum here.
We told the police are racist and there's never one when you need there. The doctors are just literally at school.
The 111 never answer.
The fire brigade do literally nothing at all.
Yes, that's it.
James
and
just answered to steal your letters.
Constantly.
Well done, James.
I think we've got what's called a royal flush there of offence. Yes. Everyone gets offended anyway. It doesn't matter.
So let me take you back to another place because we're banned from the doctors now.
Yes.
So the only place that we're going to be able to go to for medical advice now is the same place that we went to back when our mums used to take us there to buy the bits and bobs.
Someone will help care for your little ones. Help little chests fight big coughs. And you'll find there's a pharmacist to help and advise you. Boots. Someone cares.
Interesting that the logo hasn't changed, and interesting that the big bottles of random blue liquid are still in some of the boots. What on earth is that random blue liquid?
Morphine.
Is that what it is?
I don't know what it is. Yes, I don't know. I don't know ecstasy, but it's I don't know. It certainly went down a treat. They do sometimes have that shape. Love the kid there in the cultural appropriated outfit. That was great. As a red Indian. Do you remember we used to call them that in the 80s?
That was okay. That was what they were. They were red Indians. Yes.
Yeah.
Now they are Native Americans.
Of course they are. Indigenous people. And obviously cowboys are the ones that come around and offer to re-roof your house. Or do you drive?
James, you're on fire. You're on fire.
Well, luckily I've got a book that will help us with this. I'm on fire. We can have a little look through. It's helped me roll me over. Do me there. But it's Boots. I mean, your mum would take you to Boots if she had the chance, and a pharmacy. And the old guy would come out with his lab coat on, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And say, "Oh, you're dying." But I don't know, cancer.
It's always cancer. But there was no privacy. Now, if you go to Boots, you can request to speak to a pharmacist in a private room. There. Back then, as a kid, though, it was just stick your tongue out in front of the whole bloody shop.
Well, see, this is my private. I didn't have to get my knob out.
You didn't have to get James.
Why did he keep asking? That was the school doctor. Do I have to do this here, sir? Why am I sat in your car? That was. The amount of time I went to an all boys school, which I know is hard to believe, and the amount of times I had my nuts felt and had to cough, unnecessary amount.
Every day,
in the playground. It's a science teacher. It wasn't even the doctor. No, but I just think. Is this the biology practical, sir? Yeah, detention. Oh dear. No, but we had to all queue up. And there was no privacy.
No.
Pull your trousers down, hold your nuts, cough, in case you had a hernia. I've got hernias now because I'm old and useless. When I was 12, I wasn't going to get a hernia. Feeling your balls, cough. It's just, is there a female equivalent? I don't think.
The thing is, Joe, I was just thinking, and I don't want to get onto dodgy ground here because obviously I've got a career.
We don't like to cover that.
I do have a career to think about. Back then, boys would have their nuts felt.
Yes.
What would the girls?
I don't think they had anything felt.
No, so the girls probably escaped okay.
Well, I say to the wife,
there's infinite genders, isn't there? So you would need an infinite number of cues.
No, because there's still two sets. Well, there's two sets of body parts. There's two sets of body parts, I think. I think there's either cock and balls or fannies. I think that's the two. Unless we're really adrift here. I don't think anything else has been created. But, I sometimes say to my wife, I hold her boobs and ask her to cough. But that's not... that's not... but I don't think anything... I don't think ladies... I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, but there's nothing that ladies have to be checked when they're 12.
No.
I don't think.
It's just the boys. And it's always that one teacher. Yeah.
Phone in on 111. Let us know if we're missing a trick here. But there's boys, it was relentless.
Yeah.
My balls felt.
I think you just uncovered the next big scandal.
Bike sheds all over again. Oh my goodness, yes. So now then. So, I think that you go to Boots. Superdrug was sort of a thing in the 80s, but the Boots was the main thing where there was a pharmacy.
Boots, Superdrug you would go for if you knew what you wanted.
If you knew what was wrong with you.
Because then you could get it cheaper.
Yeah.
But if you wanted advice,
yeah.
Boots had the pharmacists in the white coats for you to go to.
A doctor, you could always get to see one. You'd always see the same doctor.
Yeah.
You had a doctor, you saw the same one.
Every time.
And you phone up and they go, can you come in 2 weeks' time? And you go, brilliant, right? Now they go, can you come in tomorrow or you're dead? Doesn't matter. You used to always have a gap when you went to the doctors. They'd say, you can't see him tomorrow, but you can see him a week tomorrow. And you go, fine. Now it's like, you either come in tomorrow or you're not, or today, or you have to phone up tomorrow. But yeah, school nurses and school doctors. It's weird. Did you have it at your school nurse?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I went to an all boys school as well, and it was they had like their own. If you were really feeling ill, there would be like a special room, that you would go to, but you could lie down. You could have a lay down and then go back. Yeah. Afterwards, no problem.
Funny thing is, my boys went to a school where they had a school nurse, and it's just the same sort of person is a school nurse, and they're still the same belligerent, angry people who don't give a shit, and they'll say, just stop being stupid, lay there, right, you lay down enough and go back into lesson, shut up. It's not, if you walk in with your arm hanging off, then they'll probably say you can go home, but if you go in and go, I feel really ill, they go, do you really? Okay, lay there, and that's it. You know, do you want me to call your mum? Like, oh, mum's not home. Oh, well, I just have to lay there and then go back to lessons. Like, cheers, thanks. And then you walk out and just chunder everywhere all over the hallway.
Always better to be ill at home. Always better to be ill.
You get to watch Pebble Mill at 1, don't you?
Well, funny you should say.
2 episodes of Neighbours.
Funny you should say that, James. Just cast yourself back to when you were faking a bit of illness. This was the best there was.
Yeah.
Hello again. Not that guy, but the other guy.
Magnus.
Not Magnus Magnuson, but the other guy. I'm sure, looking back now, is what Alan Partridge based his character on, because with the little grey bits and
flicks,
got to be that guy. But that was it. You know, you thought, I've got away with this. I'm at home. I am lying on the sofa. I can do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then you realise that just boredom.
Oh yeah.
Would set in, and the very best entertainment that was on, because there wasn't
not much telly on.
There was no, you'd have the bloody test card.
Yeah.
Or then there'd be programmes for schools, which you might watch a bit. But Pebble Mill was the only thing that was vaguely non-educational. But oh my God, it was boring.
It was. And I think the second half of the 80s, you certainly had Neighbours that was on. But then you had the pain of watching it with your family a second time at 5, 6 o'clock, whatever time it came up. You're like, well, I'm going to have to watch this again, am I? I didn't believe it the first time. So unless you hung on in there till about 3:15 when they started playing the first of the kids' TV. It's a long bloody day.
It's a long, long day, and it was almost, you kind of realised that perhaps it would be better to end up going to school.
Unless you pre-arranged a bunk off with your mate.
And then,
but then you have to be careful because, obviously your mum might pop back out of the blue and find that you weren't laid on the sofa with the bottle of Lucozade. Yeah.
But I always remember that I used to have there used to be two armchairs together as a small child. So you'd basically make a bed out of two armchairs. Yeah. So that would be your little bed for the day. So vivid memories of those. Then remembering, of course, that there was a Pebble Mill at 1, or just as bad and just as boring was do you remember a program called Crown Court?
I've heard of it.
It was just does what it says on the tin. It was court cases, but pretend ones on the telly.
What?
Yeah,
pretend court cases.
Pretend court cases
because they have that Judge Judy and all. Not Judge Judy anymore, but stuff like that.
Think of the most shit Judge Judy.
Yes.
That you, with no humour, nothing whatsoever. That was your Crown Court.
Wow. So a bit like a Police Interceptors of the 80s. Yeah, maybe not quite so violent and aggressive. Yeah.
But there we go. There, James, look at this. Another exciting episode.
And no injuries.
No injuries. We got away with it so far.
But we were on fire.
No need to call James after today's episode. Call 999 and they'll say, sorry, who?
Yes, that's it.
Not going to be interested.
I'm going to need some sort of police escort to get home, I think. And they'll be in their pedal cars. They're so young. Beep, beep. Nina, Nina.
And on that happy note, after this one, next time we see you, we'll be live. Before a studio audience.
Yes, in Havant.
At Spring Arts.
Yes, and at the moment, as far as we sit here, there's about 20 tickets left. But when you're watching this, there might not be any.
There could be none.
So just check it anyway. Go onto the Spring Arts Centre website, and it's the Bring Back the 80s podcast with me and that bloke over there.
I expect, you know what, James? I expect they'll be on the resellers websites, but people will be up for 50 quid by now.
Oh God, they'll be
Can
on
you
eBay.
imagine? Yeah,
crazy, going crazy. Facebook Marketplace, you'll be finding tickets for 3 quid. Please give me anything. I've watched them recently. I really don't want to see this live. Christ, yeah, that's good. Okay, well, if you are looking for tickets, keep it peeled,
and we'll see you next Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app, and don't forget there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.